DPDP Act and FinTech, BFSI, NBFCs, banks, lending apps, they have a lot of personal information. A lot. May not be as disastrous as healthcare, but in some senses could be even more than that. Welcome to my YouTube channel where you regularly see new content on privacy. We are going to talk about the impact of DPDP Act on BFSI segment and on FinTech, the banks and the non-banking financial corporations. What kind of data do they handle? They handle our personal identity. Very standard. Actually, anyone you will deal with will know your name, phone number, and email ID and address also in many cases. But then having copies of your Aadhaar cards and PAN cards, and to purchase the international currency cards, even having a copy of your passports, not everyone would have. They might take a photocopy, they need to scan it and put it on the system, so it is digitized. They'll have your account details, they'll have your transaction history. It actually happens in their system, so they know each and everything about it. Your loan applications, your financial records, and they do get shared. Till date, we have common DSAs. One DSA working for multiple banks. I'm not even sure that when one bank gives a targeted prospect database to one DSA, is it not the same database that they use for another bank? Because for the DSA, getting a customer and getting a commission is more important. The KYC profiles, verification data. How do you verify each and every individual? These are again very important things from point of BFSI. The credit scores of BFSIs and the scoring models that have been used to create these scores. Another very important aspect. Why? Your loans, your credit standing in the market, purely dependent on your credit scores. So, is it a PII and is it harmful? Yes, it is. Why? If it's not a good score, or if it's wrong information shared, or if it is not a good score and shared publicly, it can cause mental fatigue, people misusing it, maybe just for fun, but misusing it. Contact details, communication history, of course, that has to be there with the BFSI. Biometrics, they get logged in from your phone itself. You don't even need to enter a biometric into a credit card app or a biometric into a loan app or a lending app. Risk, fraud, and compliance logs, yes, they are also there. So why BFSI is a high risk stuff? It is a high risk stuff because the data is directly linked to money and the personal identity and the personal integrity of the individual. There could be situations where you are not able to pay it on time, your EMIs and your credit cards. But a wrong information about it in the public could challenge your personal integrity. High fraud, impersonation potential is there. People will talk wrong about you. Serious regulatory and financial penalties are definitely there. Data breaches can therefore cause irreversible harms. Impacts here, right? And anything that impacts a human mind can have very bad impact on human mind. Loss of trust, it can affect the brand as well as stability of the brand. And sectors already under RBI and SEBI scrutiny, so they have to be even more careful about what they are up to. The key compliance requirements from DPDP Act: valid and documented consent, a very important thing that comes up again. Consent is the key pillar. Why it is the key pillar? Because the idea of privacy is that you are using the personal information of the individual by his permission, right? So consent is important. Clear privacy notice before onboarding a customer, so the customer should know what are you onboarding him for, what money is expected, what kind of handling are you going to do with his personal information, where are you storing his personal information. Encryption of financial data, which is again an important aspect. Fraud detection, transaction monitoring, fine. How are the transactions taken care of, how are the frauds taken care of. Strong authentication is expected as a compliance requirement, which is multi-factor authentication should happen even for the bank employees, right? It should not be that they share their passwords and the other person knows their employee ID so he can log in. Strong authentication is still required. Logs for access, modification, and sharing. That's another important aspect that your compliance needs or your NBFCs and your banking employees need. And more important, regulators need. They need to see who accessed which data, when did they modify, when did they share this information with whom. Vendor compliance is another important thing, because many a times, and like we talked about DSA itself, right? So if the DSA is sharing the database you shared, that means PIA is of your prospects. Well, actually that's breach, loss of trust. Mechanisms for withdrawal, correction and deletion of user information has to be built in. Not only consent, but of the basic user information as well. Where compliance applies in BFSI? In BFSI, it applies again right from the moment you meet a banker. You get onboarded, your KYC is validated, your compliance starts from there. The creation of customer profile, the risk scoring, digital banking and UPI transactions, and I spoke that about when we were talking of healthcare also. While you would say general billing in OPD does not pick up my financial information, but if you do a UPI, your UPI ID goes there. Simple. So that's how PII, sensitive PII. Lending evaluations, approvals of these, and therefore a lot of re-evaluations. Insurance is underwritten. Claims being provided from insurance, even on the, your personal loans could be insured. I'm facing those things right now. We were happy that the personal loan is insured, but we came to know that the insurance covered only accidental death. Right? Simple. Customer support interactions that you had with their teams, and third party fintech integrations, which means one app integrated with another. You have aggregators, right? You have aggregators who pick up information from credit score bureau itself. Forget about the individual banks, and they get all the information there. I know apps where you can say connect to my portfolio, and they'll connect you to all the demat accounts that you have around the world would get connected over there. Large scale analytics and reporting is again an important thing that can be done, that would be there under BFSI. So systems under BFSI that need updating. KYC platforms, they need to be secure. So multi-factor authentication should be there, verification tools should be there, age verification tools should be there. Core banking system, transaction systems, not available on public screens, encrypted information, transmission of data on encrypted links, anonymized, maybe if it's transferring from branch to branch also. Management of loans and scoring engines, which is very, very important. Scoring engines store your credit or financial history for all the institutions you have worked with. Your payment gateways and your wallet infrastructure. And I told you, you make a transaction, and that's what happened with me. Several people transferred money into my account, but they did it with their UPI, and I'm transacting it back through the same UPI. I don't need to get their bank details. Wow, that's very interesting. So you get the UPI to the receiver also. CRM and contact center tools. Now you can debate that. You can debate and say, if I have transferred it to someone, they have got my UPI ID, what is the risk? Partially okay, but generally when you transfer money to someone, when you pay to someone, and considering that someone is now a vendor, by default your bank information is not noted there. There was a time when you had to issue them a check, so your check would have your banking information. When you do NEFT, it does not. It only tells the name of the bank, right? CRM tools, contact center tools, cloud backup archival systems, these are other set of things that are important here. Identity authentication and access controls, another important feature, very, very important for BFSI in particular. So they should use MFAs, and at least one of the multi-factor authentication app should be biometric based, iRetina based, or fingerprint based. From retention and deletion, like healthcare, they must also follow other regulators. They have RBI, SEBI, IRDAI for insurance, auditors, SEBI is for the stock exchange. So data retained for legal and operational purpose, no indefinite storage for just in case use. Just in case if I need this data later. Secure deletion after regulatory timelines, very, very important. Purpose timelines, as laid by DPDP Act, would be overwritten again by the regulatory timelines, because regulators would generally have, the RBIs and SEBIs would have a longer period for retention. Maintain deletion logs, deletion trails, and the justification of why a particular piece of information was deleted. So Start from a plan, can't do everything overnight. Just a guideline, do a part of things in 30 days, next in 60, next in 90. These are just an overview guideline. You have 100 and you have 18 months to follow. Still have 17 of them, not 17, even more than 17, right? At 13th November and we are on 7th December, so around 17 months. You need to know what data you have. You need to know what tools you have. Map them and see how many of them are compliant. Therefore, that particular area is not required to be tested. For example, access control is something that any organization, especially large healthcare and BFSI, would have. Vendor contracts may just need a bit of changes. Encryption should be there, ideally. Deletion workflow should be there. So they need to set up a notice system. They need to set up a consent system. They need to set up a retention, logging, storage of those logs, and most importantly, the breach response team. That is something which is just don't consider it to be an add-on to your support team. Look at it as a breach response team, especially if you are a large BFSI. So that's about BFSI. We also have a quick summary on this. Financially sensitive and high risk area needs strong or stronger, perhaps strongest logging and authentication methods. It's not only one-time misuse, it could be long-term leak or breach of information. Retention rules are guided by RBI and financial laws. DPDP compliance protects trust, identity, and the financial security of each and every individual of the country. Default to believe that they are all digitized. So that's about BFSI. I hope you like the content of the video. We'll continue our discussions on various industries in the next few days with respect to DPDP Act. Subscribe to my channel. Share your comments and queries in the comment section. Thank you.